Hi everyone, welcome back. It is November the 1st. It is a Tuesday, and I'm here to tell you what I've been working on today. I wanted to hit a prompt today, and the prompt for this morning was to work on a piece that you started as soon as possible once it was released. And that's the story with this one. And in fact, I thought I was going to have to do alternative stitching today. Didn't think I had one that I started right away. And I was talking with my friend Donna this week, and she said, wait a minute, didn't we start I Am a Needlesmith right after it came out? And we went and looked at the date, and sure enough, we did. We started it this year right after it came out. So I did have something to qualify. So this is I Am a Needlesmith by the Bay. And today I was able to stitch 478 stitches in this piece, and I'll show you at a glance what that is. You see all that green around those flowers? That's what I stitched. I wanted something I could stitch while I was talking to my sister Stephanie, and this was a big block of color. So I just outlined it before we got on the phone, or right after we got on the phone. She had to take a phone call from a client and a customer of theirs, and so I was able to outline real quick what I needed to fill in, and that was just fill in stitching. I didn't have to count or anything, and so that worked out really well. And there's my stitching on I Am a Needlesmith. So that met that prompt. And now I'm going to put this away for a little while. The next prompt I want to work on, if I get a chance to today, is to stitch on a project that you have either neglected or that you had fallen out of love with. Well, I haven't fallen out of love with any of my projects, but I have neglected one, sort of. And that's my Autumn in the Country. I haven't worked on it hardly at all, and I would like to work on that border a little bit. It'll be easy to get, you know, the 300 stitches in, and I think I'm gonna pull that one out and do that next. But I'm gonna first go take a lunch break and talk to my hubby a little bit because I haven't seen him this morning. He had to run an errand, and after lunch, then I'll get back to working on my cross stitch. So I'll talk to you soon. Happy stitching, everybody. Okay, as they say, let's hope third time is the charm. The first time, I got a phone call that knocked me off, and I was almost finished. The second time, I'm talking away to you, and then I look up, and the screen goes black because I forgot to hit the record button. So I was just talking to myself. So let's hope this one works, okay? It is Wednesday, November 2nd, and I'm here to just give you an update. I decided this morning when I got up that I was going to stitch on the last two prompts of a challenge that I've been working in, and those two prompts were to stitch on a whip that you have neglected, and the second one was to stitch on a whip of your choice, and then you tell them your favorite music when you post it. So I pulled out Autumn in the Country as my whip that I had neglected. I had started this back in May, is one of my May Monday starts, and I had worked on it a couple of times since then, maybe 2 or 3, I don't know, not that often, at the most once a month, and I had gotten a little bit done, but I did feel like it had been neglected, and so I pulled it out today, and I chose to do the minimum number of stitches for the 2 prompts instead of the maximum for 1. So that actually put more stitches in the piece than if I had done, you know, 1 prompt and done more stitches. But I needed to get this finished up so I can pack and get things done for our trip. So here's where I'm at. It may look very similar to you than it has in the past because what I've been working on is this border right here. And what you saw before was most of this border, but only 1 row of it. There's 3 rows there. There's three different rows all the way around. The 2 outside rows are the same color. They're 919, and the one in the middle is a 433. And I think you have seen it in various stages of the first color around and then the second color part of the way around. And today I finished the second color and I did the third color all the way around. In fact, I ran out of my thread right here, probably about 8 stitches before the bottom. And I wasn't going to thread another needle just for that because it has to go on down anyway. So I'll just capture that next time. But all total today, I stitched 470 stitches in the border, and it looks nice and full. And the best news so far is that it is matching up exactly where it's supposed to be, where it's getting near the border that's already in place. And so now next time I pull it out, I'll roll it up to get to the bottom, and I'll finish the outer border and the inner border to make sure that all the borders are going to match up. And that's where we are with autumn in the country. Thanks for letting me share it with you. The next thing I want to talk about really is our trip. We are leaving here sometime around between midnight and 12:30 a.m. Friday morning. And we will arrive, we're going on Amtrak, and we'll arrive in New York, if we're on time, about 6 p.m. And so most of that time, once we wake up, because we'll probably go right to sleep, I'll be stitching, and my husband will probably be reading. And so I'll have stitching time on Friday as I travel. Saturday's a big day for my husband. It is prep day, so he has to go get a race packet. He has a particular time he has to show up for that. He has to go to the expo to shop, like we do for cross-stitch stuff at retreats. They have all of their equipment, clothing, running shoes, and things like that on sale at their expo, and he wants to go shopping there. And then he's got a time to meet up with some fellow runners that he's only been talking to over Facebook so far. Now they're going to meet and plan their race the next day. I guess they've been passing each other hints and tidbits and that sort of thing. But anyway, he has a great day of getting ready and being a part of all the activities surrounding the New York City Marathon. Sunday is the race, and that is a big ordeal because you have to ride a ferry to a starting point, and you have to have a certain time to get on the ferry because there's so many people that they're having to transport by ferry to the starting line that you really do have to go at your assigned time to get on. And his assigned time is 7:30 a.m. for him to be ready to start running at 10:30. Amazing. Anyway, he'll run the race, and then he'll come back to the hotel and shower and hopefully nap a little bit. But then we have plans for dinner with friends that night to celebrate because he's running the marathon as well. And then Monday is my day. Monday, I get to go to Needleworkers Delight, and I am so tickled to have heard from some of you that live near there. As far as I know, there are about 4 of us that are going to meet up and say hello and get to meet each other, and maybe stitch a little bit together, which would be great. But Monday, my husband has agreed to accompany me so I don't have to travel the subway by myself or anything like that. And one of the local stitchers is going to pick us up at the train station, at one of the train stations exits, and take us the rest of the way to the shop so we don't have to transfer to a bus and then walk and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy to try to get there from New York. But anyway, we'll be staying there most of the day. My plan is to shop quite a bit and then stitch quite a bit, depending on, how receptive they are to letting us hang out. And I do have permission to videotape while I'm there. I've already emailed them and asked them about that. So I hope to send you some footage of that, of us enjoying our day there. And then Tuesday is touristy things. We're just going to go and do museums, and we may tour Ellis Island or something like that. And then we have to get ready to come home because we travel home on Wednesday. So it's going to be a lovely time. We're turning it into a big vacation for the 2 of us, so I'm really tickled about that. But I have a funny story to share with you. I pulled out my suitcase to start packing, and I started putting all my clothes out together and to make sure I had, a top and a pair of pants and, all the stuff you need. And I started putting it in the suitcase, and Coco looked around the room. I saw her do this. It was so funny. She looked around the room and she didn't see her suitcase. We have a really small suitcase for her that we put her dog food in and her toys and her drink bowl and, you know, all that kind of stuff when we travel and take her with us. And we just call it her suitcase. It wasn't out because she's not needing a suitcase. And she got upset. She jumped on the bed. She came over to me, and I was folding clothes and putting them in the suitcase, and she reached over with her paw, and she pulled my arm right out of that suitcase. I couldn't get anything in that suitcase. She did not want me packing that suitcase because she wasn't going. She didn't want me to go. It was the funniest thing. She's never done that before, ever. I had to love on her and play with her, and I just had to abandon my packing for a while because I couldn't get anything done. She was being upset. So we waited until her daddy came home and took her for a walk. And then I finished packing. So we will be taking her, though, to her friend Fred's house. So she's going to have a fabulous time while we're gone, and she just doesn't know that yet. So she'll be very happy tomorrow afternoon when we drop her off. So I'm excited about that. So I have great plans. I'm taking probably 5 different projects with me. I had criteria that was very simple. It had to be something I was working on a Q-snap because I didn't want to deal with roller frames traveling. And it had to be something on fabric that was something I could see in a hotel room that doesn't have great light. So it had to be 28 or 32 count. I think everything I'm taking is 32. And then it just had to be something that had an ease that I could work on, like I said, with bad lighting. So not crazy intense, you know, a lot of confetti heavy kind of stuff. But I think I found about 5 that I felt like would be really good traveling projects, and I've got them packed in my bag, ready to go. So I think I'm ready. I do have a FFO to share with you. I have 2 of them, in fact, and I have a great story to tell you about that. If you watched my video I just put up, the one right before this one, you will have seen the finish of Winter Quaker. And that was a great accomplishment for me. It was a 2019 start, and it was just something I had struggled with for a while because of the threads knotting up so badly and shredding. I just found them very difficult to work with. But I was glad to finish it, and so the follow-on to that is I measured it and felt like I could find an off-the-shelf frame to put it in without too much trouble. And I went to Hobby Lobby because they do have some really nice frames near the framing department that are prefab frames, but they're larger. And so I went in the back. If you shop there, you know what I'm talking about. And I did start looking at a couple of different colors to see what I thought would go best with my project. And as I'm standing there, the young lady who does my framing at Hobby Lobby here in town, her name is Mindy, and she came out and she goes, "Dana, how are you?" And she's come running over to see what I've got. And she looked at me kind of funny and she said, "Are you looking for a off-the-shelf frame for that?" And I said, "I am, if I can get one, because I'm trying to frame it affordably. I have a lot of stuff I want to frame, and so I have to work on ways, you know, to save money to get more done." And she said, "Well, let me measure it. I'll help you." So she measured it and came over, told me what size she thought would work perfectly. And they did have 2 frames that size, one in a dark wood and then one in a lighter, kind of a light beach bleached brown, you know, wood. And that color was in the picture that I stitched. So we looked at both to see what we thought it would look best in, and we both agreed that the dark brown really brought out the beautiful blue in the fabric and all the colors, and it just complemented it, we thought, much better. So Mindy said, "You're gonna let me put it in there for you?" And I said, "Yes." So she pinned it and put it in for me. Now, I had to leave it with her, of course, but she did tell me that they were really slow at the moment, and she could start on it that afternoon. I had taken it around lunchtime. So yesterday afternoon, I got a phone call. Yep, she finished it. I dropped that thing off around lunchtime and I picked it up about 6 o'clock that night. So I have recorded a little tiny video as soon as I picked it up, and I'm going to insert that now. Hi everyone. I just wanted to share with you my framed winter Quaker. The good news is, when I got there yesterday, she wasn't real busy. It was right after lunch, and she whispered to me, I don't have anything else in front of it. I'm going to start it today. I'll call you later. And she did. Well, that'll never happen again. But it was just amazing to get the phone call that I could go back and pick it up the same day that I dropped it off. So, quite lucky in that. I'm going to go up a little closer now and let you see it, so you can see the frame. I think that frame just really brings out the colors. It's pretty next to the blue. It's a beautiful dark wooden frame. I think it's quite pretty. So I'm pleased with it. I like it a lot, and I'm about to hang it in my hallway in where my headless horseman has been displayed. Thanks for letting me share it with you. I just love it. I hope you like it. In the meantime, while Mindy was working on framing that one, I had picked up another picture frame off the shelf that I thought would look really, really good with my penny pumpkin. That was my latest finish. It was my whip go start for October, and I finished it. And so I got this picture frame at Hobby Lobby as well, and I framed it up. What do you think? I think it's precious. I like it. I like the lighter frame because of this beautiful, white pumpkin. And I think this sets it off very well. And it was just an off-the-shelf picture frame. But I brought it home, and while she was working on my winter Quaker, I worked on this one and got it in there yesterday. So I'm really happy about my two FFOs. Thanks for letting me share those with you. And I am going to say not only good night for today, it may be the last time that I video until we're traveling, because I have to just get everything ready. I've got my luggage packed, I've got my stitching packed, but now I have to make sure all the bills are paid. I have to make sure that, we have to take our trash to the compactor site because we won't be here on trash day. Just little things like that you have to do. Stop your mail, that kind of thing. And I got to take care of all that tomorrow, plus get on the train tomorrow night, plus take Coco out to Fred's house. So we have a bit to do, and I may not get to stitch tomorrow, but I'll definitely make up for it while I'm in New York. I hope you're having a great week of stitching. I hope your November's getting off to a wonderful start. And I wish you happy stitching. Hi everyone, welcome back. I would like to just share with you what I've been working on today, and it's not stitching, it's planning. I get comments from you, those of you who enjoy it, so if planning is not your thing, feel free to skip on to the next little title. But if you want some ideas or you just want to see what I've been working on, then it's only a few minutes long, and you can hang in there with me if you'd like. I did a big stash dive. I pulled out all my stash other than magazines and books, and I purged. I have received some generous gifts over the year of people sending me patterns for me to either stitch or give away. And I look through them and I think, oh, I might want to stitch that, and I put it in my stash. So once a year, I try to go through my stash and really organize everything into categories. I put all the Christmas together, all the Halloween together, Easter together, 4th of July, that sort of thing. And I went through and gave it a really critical look. What will I stitch and what will I not stitch, so that I know what I've got for giveaways? Well, once I did that, then I went through what was left in my stash, and I came up with about 25 new starts for the coming year. And I originally sat down with a pen and paper and just said, okay, which one of these are gifts and when are they due? So let me back up and say when I have to start them so that I have them ready. And that'll be the starts for those months. And then I'm going to take the other 25 and try to do about 2 starts a month together so I can spread them throughout the year. Well, I did that. And I got to looking at it and I thought, you know, if I'm thinking about doing a couple of starts a month, if I did 2 whip go boards, and I was careful not to put starts on every day so that all 4, things I have to do might be starts, I bet that I could take this plan of a couple of starts a month and turn it into 2 whip go boards. And I did. And I will turn the camera around here in a minute and really show you the board, how I put it together, because it's old style. I did it with paper and little tiny sticky notes so I could move them around, but I'll share that with you on how I did it. Then I peeled that information off of that piece of paper and I created 2 draft whip go boards. So let me go ahead and turn the camera around and tell you about what I did, how I came about putting it together, and then I'll come back and wrap it up for you. Okay, here's what I was telling you about. I took my whip go grid of my 25 squares, which is sort of hard for you to see, but if you look up at the top, you can kind of get where the columns are. And I wrote on a little tiny sticky tab there each of my new starts in pink ink and my whips in the blue ink. And that way I could go through and on a particular day, I could put something for my holiday seasonal whip go board. I use that on the bottom of the square. And then for instance, this one is spring quilt for my spring season. This is June wordplay and it's a new start. So it's in pink. And the reason that was important to me is since I'm going to do 2 whip go boards, I didn't want to have a new start on both boards on any single number. Because if I had 2 new starts on this one and 2 new starts on this one and they both might get called the same month, I might wind up with 4 new starts in a month. And I wanted to avoid that if I could. So what you see is I wrote all of these down and I went through and I put my seasonal things on the bottom first, on the bottom of each square, because those are what my whips mostly are. And I almost filled in the board with that. Then I went in and I put in my new starts that are regular pieces, not seasonal pieces, on the top. And here was my really big thing. As I said, if one was pink, I tried to put blue with it. Here it's a new seasonal piece called Turkey Time. So I put one of my current whips that's not seasonal, I Am a Needlesmith, above it. So the beautiful part about these little tiny stickers is that they pop right off. As you can see, this one's about to fall off. As I touch it, it falls off. They pop right off because they're older. They're not real sticky. And that meant I could rearrange things. And I did have to rearrange things as I went through working on it. It wasn't perfect the first time. But I could take them and just rearrange them, checking to make sure that I was putting it on the right whip board and that I was not putting a pink one with a pink one. You know, some of these may look like they are, but the square is actually up here and that's down below. So I had to check that very carefully. And then once I got that part done, I was able to just write out my 2 whip go boards, transferring my pieces at the top to one board and the pieces I had listed at the bottom, which were the seasonal vacation holiday ones. And that way I have 2 whip go boards now and they go well together. I'm gonna go up closer now so you can see um, what I'm talking about a little bit better, that you can read it. Now that you've seen the whole board, we can actually zero in on a couple of them. So you'll recognize some of these, like this is Welcoming Christmas, here's Kringle, here's Pandemic. These are the whips I currently have. And then everything that's a new start are in my pink ink, and so that makes it easy for me to see. You see my little notes up there on my regular board. I'm actually going to wind up with 20 new starts. And on my seasonal holiday board, I'll only have 7 new starts on that board. But that's a lot of new starts in a year. I think that's 27, actually. I had discovered, I had said I had 25 new starts I wanted to do next year, but one of those was a series of word plays, and that's how I came up with 27, because I'm doing multiple starts for that series, so it worked out okay. Now, the other thing I'm going to wait and do, and I was telling my friend Glow this today, she got a big kick out of it. I'm not going to type up my 2 Whip Go boards the way that I normally do with the color coding and all of that yet, because I said to Glow, I very well may finish something before the end of the year. And she got such a kick out of that. She laughed and she said, have you met my friend Dina? So I think she's banking on me finishing at least 1 or 2 things before the end of the year. And if that happens, of course, I will come in here and I will have to lift off one of the things that I finished, and then I've got to figure out what to put in its place. And that may necessitate moving some things around. I don't know. If I have to wind up putting 2 new starts in the same block, I want to make sure that they're easy starts. Something I could maybe start one and finish, and then the other one could be a longer range project or something like that. But thanks for letting me share it with you. I hope that you enjoy these planning sessions. I'll try to give them to you in small doses. Happy stitching, everybody. Okay, well, I hope that's clear as mud. Anyway, here's what it looks like just in a draft form. This is the Whip Go board, regular Whip Go board. This means I wrote down in each space what was on the top sticker of every one of the ones on my combined board. Then for Christmas and holidays, seasonal holidays, I took what was on the bottom of each square and put it on here. So that will be what I type up at the end of the year, as I said before, unless I have a finish and I have to take something off. So I will be doing 2 Whip Go boards next year. I've gone back and forth with that because I really wanted to. I just really wanted to. So now I've worked out a way to do that. I'm very happy about that. I will also be hopefully participating still, I hope they do it, in the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch Acrostic every month. And if the Magazine Monthly Challenge Facebook group has an acrostic every month, I will try to do that as well. And then I intersperse other challenges that I enjoy, throughout the month as well, because just having something to motivate me to work on a piece is how I choose what to work on. And I have had a month this year where I finished all my prompts really early in the month, like a week early. And I was really floundering, trying to figure out, how do I start? What do I pick? And because I love everything equally. Well, it turned out I had to create some little prompts of my own that I wanted to meet by the end of the month. And that kept me from having decision fatigue. I've heard people talk about that, and I believe that is a great description. If I had to pick out of my current 25 whips every day what to stitch, just based on what do I want to stitch today, I would probably flounder, and there might be days I didn't even stitch because I was indecisive, or just the way I am. So if you aren't a real goal-oriented person, but you're looking for some ways to motivate you to stitch a little more, then whip go may be a fabulous way that you could just let your things be chosen. I know people use decision wheels for that, and that's a great way to do that. The planner in me doesn't respond well to that. It's too much up to chance. Like everything's up to chance. There wasn't any planning or rhyme or reason to it other than what you put in that wheel. So that one is not doesn't give me enough control. I feel very nervous, so I don't do that well. But I am thinking that I will participate possibly in March Madness this year with the Seal Steady Stitchers, and I may do some May Monday starts in May. I don't know. Whipgo may take care of that on his own. And I don't know if I'm going to do Christmas in July formally this year unless it's to work on whips that are still hanging around from the last one. So we'll see. But I do know for sure I'm going to have 2 whip go boards now. So I just wanted to tell you that in case you want to join me. I hope you will, at least with one. It's been great fun, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I spent today doing this planning, and then the next thing I did is I kitted up my November start, which is a Halloween piece. I've dubbed it myself as the Halloween trio. It's 3 buttons and beads patterns that were to be done on paper, perforated paper. But I've picked a beautiful piece of dark gray fabric with some blue tones in it, hues in it, little brown hues in it. Just looks like a stormy sky. And I'm going to put my 3 together as if it's a street scene, as if their buildings are right next to each other. So I got to do a little calculation on how many spaces I have that I can put between them, and will it be enough to put in a tree or anything like that to make it look more cohesive. I've got to do a little more planning on it before I haul out and start it. But I can, if I start in the middle, I can go ahead and get started on the first middle piece. And I think I may do that when we get back from our trip. We are leaving this evening, probably around 11:15 or so, and our train will pull out about 12:30 a.m. in the morning. So I am hoping, if I can, if I'm calm enough now that I've got everything packed, and we have Coco at Fred's, and we're ready to go. So now it's just waiting for the time to roll around. So good time for stitching, and I'm looking forward to that. So I may pull out something easy to do. I may pull out Pandemic or something like that that I can't take with me because it's so big, and work on it a little bit. If I do and I get any progress on it, I'll come back and share it with you. Thanks for letting me talk with you about planning. I've enjoyed it, and I hope you have. We'll talk soon. Happy stitching.